Hi everyone, myself Dr. M. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So in this video, I'm going to present about principles of file management, so which comes under data management and representation. When it comes to file management, so the file management is considered as a part of operating system, and the input to the applications is by means of a file, and then the output is going to be saved in a file for a long term storage. So nowadays it is going to be used in different types of files in different ways also. The file management is very important, so in order to manage different types of files, which should be in the form of text files, binary files, like that. Next, I'm going to discuss about what are the terms that are going to be used in files. So these terms are very important. So before using the files, so how the file is going to be organized. So what are the various fields of that files, I have to be explained now. So the very first one is that field. So the field of the file is very important, and this should be considered as the basic element of the data, and the field contains a single value and is to be characterized by its length and data type, right? So the very first field that is to be used in the files is field. So the field is the basic element of the data, and it contains a single value and is to be characterized by its length and data type. And next term that is going to be used in files is record. So record is nothing but collection of related fields, and then it is going to be treated as a unit also. Example, employee record. So is the example. So the record is the another term that is going to be used in files. So the record is nothing but a collection of related fields, and then nothing but collection of basic elements of the data, which is going to be used a single file and is to be characterized by length and data type. And then this record is going to be treated as a unit only. Example, so employee record. And the next term that is going to be used in files is file. So what is a file? So file is nothing but a collection of similar records and is to be treated as a single entity. And then each file have unique file names, and it may restrict several access also. That means the file can be accessed in three modes. So first one is read mode, and second one is write mode, and third one is read and write mode, both. Like that, we're having different access here for accessing the file. So whether it may be a read mode, write mode, or read mode and then write mode. And then next one is that database. So what is the database? So the collection of related data is called as database, and then the relationships that which exist among these elements is nothing but a database. So database is nothing but a collection of related data, and then the relationships exist among the elements is considered as a database, right? So the file is nothing but a collection of similar records and is going to be treated as a single entity, and then each file has unique names. So all the time you have to follow unique names while creating the file, so that there is no duplicate file names are going to be allowed. And then several access may be also available for the file, so like read mode, write mode, and then read and write mode. So read mode in the sense where you can able to read the file only, right? And then write mode in the sense, so we can, and it enable us to write into the file. And third one is that read and write mode. so which is going to be allowed us to write in both uh, reading mode as well as in writing mode also. Then the database, so the database is going to be used this types of files, and which is going to be used different types of files also, like text file, binary file. Suppose if I'm going to use this text files in database, then I have to make use of MySQL is the database what we are having. And then suppose if I'm going to use some relational tables, then I have to make use of this Oracle database like this. And then this database may also contain the relationship among the elements of the files also. Like the database may be able to store text files and then binary files, etc. And then what are the typical operations we can able to perform on files? So first one is that retrieve is the first method. So within this it retrieve, we are having several options. So first one is that retrieve all, retrieve one, and then retrieve next, and then retrieve previous. Like this is the first one, retrieve. So retrieve all means where you can able to retrieve all the files from the database. And then retrieve one means where you can able to retrieve only one file. And then retrieve next means, so what is already I have opened one file, then how I can able to retrieve the next file. So by user here we are having an option like retrieve next. So based on that I can able to retrieve the next file easily. And then retrieve previous, suppose I want to retrieve the previous file of the current file, then I have to make use of this function or operation here, operation for previous file. And then next typical operation is that insert. So insert means where you can able to insert a file into the database, one file at a time. And then second one is next operation is delete. So where you can able to delete one file at a time, and then that means deleting the file. And then next one is that update. So suppose the file is opened, I have some corrections in the file. So at that time what I have to do, I have to update the file. So how you can able to update it? By make use of this update one operation. So updating means appending. So appending something into the file. And next one is the retrieve few. So where you can able to retrieve very few files from the database. So these are the various typical operations what we are going to be perform on files. So retrieve all, so where you can able to retrieve all the files from the database, and retrieve one means where you can able to retrieve one file at a time. And then retrieve next means where you can able to retrieve the next file from the current file. And then retrieve previous means where you can able to retrieve the previous file from the current file. And then retrieve insert one. So insert one means where you can able to insert a new file into the database. And similarly delete one, where you can able to delete the file. And then update one means where you can able to update the current file. And retrieve the very few, where you can able to retrieve very few files from the database based on some factors. And next one is that, so file management system is the way of user of an application that may access files. So this is the file management system is the way where it can able to allows the users through the application we can able to access the files also. So next, the programmer does not need to develop the file management software, right? So the programmer does not need to develop file management software. It is already existing one. It should be very easily we can able to extract this software and then easily you can able to implement this file management to that software. And then the objectives for the file management system is the next one. So very first objective is that so meet the data management needs and the requirements of the user. So the first objective file management system is that so meet the data management needs. So what are the needs that are needed by the users? So based on that, this object is going to be defined, and then what are the requirements? So requirements of the user. So these two are very important, and this should be the first objective of file management system. And then it allows the guarantee the data in the file that are going to be valid. So the file management system guaranteed the data. So what is the data we are storing in the file? That should be valid one. So it should not be lost at any time. And then next objective is that optimized performance. So the performance is also very optimized one. And then the file management system can also provide input output support for the variety of the storage device types also, right? So where you can able to perform input and output operations, so it can, the file management system can also support that, which can able to support variety types, various storage device types also, right? So these are the first main objectives of the file system. So very first one is that the first objective is going to be meet the needs of the data management as well as what are the requirements that are needed for the user. And then the file next objective is that the file management system can also be guaranteed the data and which are going to be valid one. And then the performance is also very optimized one. And then it should also provide input output support for the variety of storage devices, and then which can also be perform input and output operations. And then next, some of the other objectives for the file management system is that so which can able to minimize and eliminate the potential for the lost or destroyed data. So like, so this is this objective is very important one. So we should able to minimize or eliminate the potential for the lost or destroyed data. And then so this it also it is also useful for us to provide a standard set of input and output operation, input output and interface service routines. So these two also very important, so which can able to provide standardized set of input and output interface routines. And then it also provide input output support for the multiple users also. So these are the some other objectives of the file system. So first one is that where you can able to minimize or eliminate the potential of the destroyed data, or then can able to also provide that standardized set of input and output interface routines, and then which can also be provide input output support for the multiple users also. And next one is that so what are the minimal set of requirements that are needed for the file management. So first one is that so the each user should be able to in a position to create, delete, read and the change files. So this set of requirements very important. So many of the users are going to be create the files and then deleting the unwanted files, and where you can able to perform reading the files and changing the files contents also. And then each user may have controlled access to the other user files. Suppose the user may want to access some other user files, so that is also be defined in a very controlled access, like read access and then write access and then read and write access mode also. So the each user may control what type of access are allowed to the user files also. So the user may also have control for what type of access are going to be allowed for the user files. And then the each user should be able to restructure the user files in the form of appropriate to the problem, right? So the each user in a position which can able to restructure the user files. So restructuring the user files is also very important, which can able to modify the files which are going to be appropriate for the problem. And another minimal set of requirements will be, so each user should be able to move data between the files, and each user should be able to backup and recover the user files in case of damage. And then each user should be able to access the user files by using symbolic names. So the each user should be able to move the data between the files. So each and every user should be in a position to move the data from files of the one directory to the files of the another directory. And then the each user should be able to backup. So backup of files is very important. So whatever the data is collected in the files, so this set of requirements is also be needed for to backup and then recover the user files in case of damage. So recovery is also very important one. And then each user should be able to be access the user files by using symbolic names. By using the symbolic names also, we can able to extract the files or able to access the files not only for our files, you can able to extract the other user files also. And this should be the semantic view of file management system. So by using this system where you can able to identify, so very this is the user program. So the user program is going to be communicated with file database, and then sequential file database, and indexed sequential database, and then indexed database and hash database. Like this, the user program may able to access the files in sequential one, or you can able to access the files in indexed sequential one, and then indexed fashion also, as well as in the hash fashion also. And next one, this database is going to be communicated to the logical input and output, so which is going to be connected to all the database formats. And then basic input and output perform supervisor operations is going to perform that. And then below that one should be basic file system. So the basic file system is to be base of this one, semantic view of that file system. And then the disk device driver and tape device driver. So these are the below of that file management system, right? So this is the semantic view of that file management system. So by seeing this, we can able to uh, identify how the files are going to be organized, and in what way the files are going to be indexed in database, and what kind of logical operations are going to be performed, and then what are the basic input output operations we can able to perform. And the foundation should be basic file system, so which are to be connected with the disk device driver and then tape device driver. And next one is that I'm going to explain what are the functions of this file management. So the functions of the file management is also very important one, so which is going to be helpful for creating the files, and then saving the files, creating, saving, opening, modifying, closing, renaming, and deleting. So these are the basic functions of the file management. So in this one, so very first one is that creating. Suppose if I want to create the file, so this is the very first step. If I want to do some operations on files, so first of all, we have to create a new file at the specified location in the computer system. That should be creating. And then next function is that, so saving. So saving means, so what is, I have initially the user may type some data in the file, so what will happen, I want to save it. So the saving is the option, is the function that is available here, which can able to help us in saving the content that is written in the file. And then next one is that, which is going to be stored in some specified location. And then opening file. So this is the another function what we are having here. So in order to open the file, Opening the file means some file initially stored in database, so I want to reopen that. So at that time we are having the option opening here. And then suppose I want to write something into the file, so at that time what I have to do, I have to make use of this modifying option. So modifying is the option which is going to be used to modify the contents of the file. And then closing the file. So closing the file is the other option what we are having for close the file. So for that we are having closing option. So initially one file is created, I want to update, I want to change the name of the file at the time. So at the time what I have to do, I have to make use of this rename operation here. So once the files are deleted or renamed, so then I have an option, I want to delete something from the file, I want to delete the file. At that time I have to do deleting is the option we're having for the deleting files. Like that we are having so many different basic functions are available in order to implement this file management. So first one is that creating, and then saving, opening, modifying, closing, renaming, and then deleting. So these are the various operation functions that is going to perform. So creating is the function which is used to create the file, and then saving the file, and then suppose if I want to open the file means opening is the function, and then modifying, something is going to be changed in the file, then I have to make use of this modifying. And next one is that closing. So closing is the function which can able to close the file. And then renaming. So renaming means if I want to change the name of the file from one name to another name, so at that time I have to make use of this rename function. And then deleting the file, so which can able to delete the file from the database. And then what are the file management strategies are available in order to implement this file management. So first one is that organize by file types. So what when you are going to save the files in a database, so what are definitely there may be a files of different types, like binary files, text files, and then doc files, like that, right? So we have to arrange the binary files as a one type, one set in the database, and text files as one set in the database, and doc files as one set in the database. And similarly we have to place all these files in one place at a time. And then we have to create the folders and in the my documents, so that all the files are going to be created separately of with the same type specification. And nested folders will also be supportable in order to fulfill that uh, data that is to be into the folders. And then we can able to follow the file naming conventions. So file naming conventions would also be very important, right? So the file name should be start with the alphabets. It should not be start with special symbols and operators and then constants, like so the file naming convention should be followed. It should not be supportable. So all the time the file name should be started with alphabets. And then the file name should and the file name should be very specific one, and the files you can able to take as you go. Suppose if I want to move that file from one operating system like Windows to Linux, I want to save it, so at the time also I can able to use of this. And then there can be also the order of your files can able to arrange as your convenience also. So like that we can able to uh, create so many file management strategies that are going to be allowed here. And then what are the basics types of file management here? So here we are having three basic types of special files, like first one is FIFO. So full form of FIFO is the first in first out. And then block type of special files, and characters special files. So these are the three types of uh, special files what you are going to maintain for implementing this data management. So first one is FIFO, block, and then character. So FIFO files are called pipes, and these pipes are to be created by one process to the uh, temporarily allow communication with the another process. So Actually these FIFO files are going to be called as pipes normally, and these pipes which is going to be allowed for one process to move from one place to the other place through the proper communication, and these files are going to be ceased to exist whenever the process finishes. And then finally I can able to explain what are the key principles of data management here. So for that, very first one is that, so create a data management strategy. So creating a data management strategy is very important. So once we collect the data from the multiple sources and saving into database, so total proper data management strategy is going to be maintained. So one of the most important data strategy principle is that developing a data management plan. So once the strategy is identified, then next we have to make a plan. So data management plan. So this data management plan is very important, but and it should be the very first principle in the data management. And then next one is that, so define the roles in the data management. So once the data management plan is established, so what you have to do, you have to establish what are the different roles that are available for implementing this data management system. So then that roles is going to be allowed for software, and then users, and then administrator, like this. So like that we are having different types of roles are available. So once the role are identified, then you have to control the data throughout its life cycle. So the controlling data is very important, and then the life cycle may also exist in different phases. So all the time you have to data what we are getting in each phase is very important. And then ensure that data quality. So the data quality is very must and we have to be maintained. So the quality of the data is very important, and then redundant data, duplicate data is not going to be maintained. So all the time the data efficient is very important. And then once the quality comes, then you have to collect it and then analyze the metadata. Metadata means data within the data, that is also going to be used. So in the details of the data is going to maintain, and then maximize the use of the data. This is the final step. So final principle what you have to be follow for the data management. So what are the key principles of data management will be? So first we have to create the data strategy first. So once the data strategy is established, then we have to identify the data plan here. So once the data plan is going to be is planned properly, then we have to define the roles here. So this is the third step. So third step will be data management roles. So how the roles, what are the various roles that are going to be created for creating the data management. So once the role is defined, then we have to identify how the data is going to be controlled in its life cycle. So since the life cycle is having different types of phases, so what you have to do, we have to consider all the data, whether it is properly coming in all the phases or not, and then ensure that data quality. So data quality is the fifth one. We are going to able to ensure that, and then finally you have to collect and analyze the metadata. So once the data quality comes, then you have to collect it and analyze the metadata. So whether it is still redundant data is available or not, that and all you have to take it out, and then maximize the use of the data. So this is the last one. So once the data is collected, everything is fine, then you have to use the data in maximum way. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.